Only a fraction of reported sexual assaults result in charges in Utah. Police, prosecutors, and experts tell us Utah's rape statute is a big part of the problem.
Yeah, and this failure to protect report, KSL investigator Daniela Rivera explores how the politics of consent may be shifting here, with two women now pushing for change.
And you said you think you might know what this is about already.
I think I know what it is.
Kenneth Joshua Cordova thinks he knows what Salt Lake City detectives want to talk about.
So I used to have a sexual relationship with a girl in Heber.
But in this case, he's wrong.
That's not what we're here about.
Okay.
Okay. We're here about a different incident that happened here in Salt Lake.
They want to talk about a report from another woman.
He sexually assaulted me.
Taryn Evans reported to police in November 2019 that a man she'd met on a dating app forced himself on her in her home the first time they met.
Against my will, had sex with me, and I voiced my no's several times. I froze. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do.
Taryn reported to police. She went to the hospital for a forensic exam, and prosecutors charged Cordova with 3 felony counts, including rape.
I certainly didn't do any rape.
But the case didn't go to trial. Those felonies dropped down to misdemeanors in a plea deal that didn't require any prison time and didn't require him to register as a sex offender. The reason? Taryn says Salt Lake County prosecutors told her it came down to proving lack of consent.
The prosecutor said that based on that and the way our statute's written, there's a substantial likelihood of acquittal.
In a statement, an attorney for Cordova said the case had many nuances that called into question the issue of consent, and that Cordova took the plea deal understanding the risk of going to trial. Taryn's experience with Utah's justice system motivated her to advocate for change. That's when she learned a bill that could impact cases like hers has repeatedly failed on Utah's Capitol Hill.
The gap in the law that our legislature is ignoring is the reason for victims of sexual assault not getting any justice.
That gap she's talking about? Prosecutors say Utah's rape statute requires they prove a suspect knew a victim was not consenting. They say that's a hard burden to meet, especially if a victim is intoxicated, sleeping, or frozen in fear, leading to rape charges, often getting dropped down to misdemeanors.
Do you feel that your office got the best deal that it could for her?
That was the best outcome that we could have.
There are individuals who are serial rapists who know they're not going to get prosecuted and continue to harm people.
Representative Angela Romero has sponsored legislation to fill that gap 4 times. Her affirmative consent bill would create a new 3rd-degree felony charge for cases where a perpetrator fails to get consent from a victim through words or actions. Salt Lake County DA Sim Gill says he's long supported Romero's efforts.
It gives us also a different place to land at, which I think currently is missing.
House Speaker Mike Schultz has voted against the measure in the past. This last session, we asked if he would reconsider.
Absolutely, we need to look at what we can always do to, protect the ladies in this state.
I don't think they did anything to protect the ladies.
But the legislature didn't give the bill a hearing.
We're not going to even talk about it. That sends a message of it doesn't matter.
Taryn now joins Romero.
When we don't hear legislation, people feel like their lawmakers don't care about them.
In an effort they say is building momentum behind the scenes.
I've had conversations with the speaker. He's like, we need to do something. I go, we do. Y'all need to give my bill a hearing.
I'm currently trying to get support so that I can, before the next legislative session, have enough people to come in to force a discussion so that Utah can do better by victims.
Romero knows many people would prefer to avoid the politics of consent.
It's not about being Democrat or Republican. It's about the trust. But when it comes to affirmative consent, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
But she says, with the support of Utah survivors, like Taryn behind her, she's determined to pass affirmative consent legislation before leaving the legislature.
I'll continue to make colleagues uncomfortable because we need to have these conversations.
Daniela Rivera, KSL 5 News.
Daniela, thank you. Romero says she's working to refine her bill in the interim and will ask her colleagues to consider it a 5th time next year. We will be following that progress.